In the last couple of decades, the world has seen rapid wealth creation in large parts of the world, such as India or China. However, some countries have lagged behind. This may be because of internal conflicts, corruption, widespread criminality, or other factors. Luckily, there seems to be a novel solution for the countries that have fallen behind. That solution is free, private cities. There are some pioneering countries that are taking an innovative new approach to combat global poverty. And at the end of this video, we will look at one such example where the concept is already being put into practice. But first, what is a free private city? What are the promises and what are potential risks? This video is based on but not affiliated to Titus Gebel's book of the same name. The free private city concept means that a private company, which we will call the operator, is granted far-reaching legal autonomy on a designated, uninhabited piece of land from a host country. That means, in this area, the company acts as governing entity and can design its own commercial laws. The citizens who want to come live there, or in this case, the customers, enter into an actual contract with the operator. This contract states that the customers have to pay an annual service fee to the operator, while the operator has to protect life, liberty, and property of the customers. If further services are to be delivered by the operator, they are defined in the contract as well. The key feature here is that, as with any legal contract, it cannot be changed by one side alone. That means the fees cannot be raised, or the scope of the services cannot be reduced or expanded. Lastly, it is conceivable that the operator pays part of its revenue or a fee to the host country. However, the primary benefit to the host country is to attract foreign investment and drive economic growth, which we will explain later in this video. There are thousands of details to go into on this concept. To what degree is the host country involved? Will there be a thorough city planning or more natural development? Do the customers have an option to own the operator like a stock corporation? And many, many more. The questions can be discussed in subsequent videos, so leave your questions on the setup in the comments. The most important question, however, is how can a free private city create prosperity? Out of many aspects, we will look at three. Firstly, free private cities guarantee safety as the essential foundation for any business activity. Secondly, free private cities reduce the cost and improve the quality of necessary basic services for the local community. And thirdly, free private cities create attractive and predictable conditions for local and foreign investment. But how is it that a free private city can guarantee safety? And why is it important? It may not seem to you that safety is a fundamental issue, because in many countries, safety currently isn't a big issue. But the importance of safety becomes apparent when it is absent. The free private city concept is aimed at creating prosperity where it currently does not exist, and that often coincides with an absence of security due to civil conflicts, gang violence, or other reasons. This risk factor imposes a significant hurdle and cost of business that can jeopardize any undertaking. It could include paying protection money to a gang or the risk of kidnapping or theft. Even small damages to a crucial part of a factory can cause a business to shut down. Imagine a group of burglars that breaks into a factory and rips out the wires out of brand new machines in order to sell the copper. The scrap value may not be worth much, but the machines are irreparably damaged and the financial burden of replacing them would cripple the business. That's why security is one of the fundamental services a free city can offer, especially in areas where safety is currently a big issue. But why would free private cities be better equipped to deliver this than the host country? The free private city only has to secure a relatively small, designated area and can therefore act much more focused than the host country, which has to cover a vast landscape with limited resources. The city can, for example, be walled off, and camera surveillance can be installed if necessary. This limits the possibility of criminals to just disappear in the forests. And these measures could well be financed by the business model of the operator, as we will see later in this video. And finally, the free private city can pre-select its customers and screen applicants for a criminal history. This reduces the chance of them entering the city in the first place and thus reducing the crime rate. In the simplest terms, the free private city would be like a gated community, not just for a rich elite, but for workers and their families. In other words, the free private city creates a safe space for business. Besides offering safety, the free private city can reduce the cost and improve the quality of basic services. This is because it has the right incentives. The free private city wants to attract as many customers as possible and therefore wants to deliver a good product at a low price. If it doesn't, the management and the owners will be directly affected. Unlike in politics, where mismanagement, that is, budget deficits, are rewarded with higher budgets, the management of a private company will see its bonuses reduced and the shareholders their dividend cut. As with other businesses, this leads to innovation and improvement of efficiency. It could, for example, manifest itself in fully digital administrative processes, in autonomous dispute resolution mechanisms or e-residencies, and many, many more. And also regarding infrastructure and public services, the free private city will find the best approach of doing it, either by itself or by outsourcing them to other private specialists. There are actually already cities that have outsourced all of its services to private contractors with incredible success. One such example is the city of Sandy Springs in the state of Georgia in the United States. Besides these positive incentives, there are also negative ones, because if contractually agreed services are not delivered, the resident has the possibility to sue the operator in an independent arbitration process. If, for example, your house gets broken into, you can sue the operator for not protecting your house as agreed in the contract. This process works the same way as international arbitration between individuals and companies. We will elaborate on how exactly this works later in the video. Of course, it would be a means of last resort, but still a possibility that no person has against the conventional government. In addition to the incentives, there are also other cost advantages of operating a free private city compared to conventional governments. There is no need to finance a pompous parliament or state servants who are paid well above market rate, plus their lifetime benefits and retirements. Or there couldn't be any lobbying for special regulations to benefit certain interest groups, because regulations, as defined in the service contract, cannot be changed unilaterally. And these are just two aspects out of many. In other words, the operator has an inherent self-interest to provide qualitative services and to reduce inefficiency and waste in order to decrease prices and attract more customers. This could make the city affordable for anyone who is yearning for a better life. A high degree of safety and efficient basic services are a perfect foundation for a free private city to create attractive and predictable conditions for local and foreign investment. Simple and transparent regulation paired with a business-friendly tax environment have proven time and again to boost business creation and employment. For individuals, this could mean that they do not need licenses, for example, to drive a taxi or become a hairdresser. And due to the low tax rates, they are much more likely to be able to make a good living off of it. The same applies to larger corporations and investors, whose projects are more likely to succeed. Regulatory inefficiency and taxes all pose significant costs that can make an investment unprofitable and therefore not worthwhile pursuing, destroying all the employment opportunities that it would bring. For example, interacting with just one operator instead of several government agencies saves a lot of time and administrative effort. Getting an approval or rejection for a project quickly can also make a big difference. especially when the company is deciding between several different locations to build a factory. Or filling out only a short tax form due to the simple tax code rather than fulfilling endless requirements for the tax authority also saves time and money. Lastly, and most obviously, a low tax burden creates a competitive advantage to other jurisdictions, as they have a direct effect on return on investment. In short, all of these factors create a favorable business environment that attracts investment. Prime examples of how an attractive business environment can create wealth and prosperity are the meteoric rises of Singapore and Dubai. In the last few decades, these have developed from a little fishing village to a large metropolis. However, there's one benefit to free private cities that even successful countries do not necessarily have, and that is predictability. Since every customer, person or business, signs a contract with the operator, unilateral changes and conditions are not possible. That means even if a new party comes into power in the host country, it cannot raise taxes or change regulations in the free private city. And the operator cannot change them either. The legal certainty of the free private city could fill the trust gap that investors may have with the government of the host country. This is especially relevant for long-term, capital-intensive investments. For example, a computer chip factory. A company that builds such a factory is bound to the location for decades to come. If the investor cannot be sure that the same conditions apply at that point in the future, the investor is less likely to invest. All in all, the safety, efficiency, and predictability a free private city can offer create opportunities to build new businesses, families, and communities. The economic benefits don't stay within the city, but also affect the periphery, where suppliers get contracts, for example, to build the new infrastructure. The employees in and outside of the city who spend their earned money in the surrounding areas will boost local businesses and bring foreign investment money directly to the community. The entire region benefits. The painted picture of free private cities in this video so far has been quite rosy. But of course, there are also major risks to consider. 3 risks stand out. What happens in the case of insolvency of the operator? What happens in the case of a dispute between the operator and the host country? And what happens in the case of a dispute between a customer and the operator? Regarding insolvency, the fact of the matter is that this risk always exists. Even a country can become bankrupt. So this isn't really a risk unique to the free private city. However, what would likely happen in the case of a free private city is the same as would happen with any other company. Basic services continue for the customers, creditors get a haircut, and the company is acquired by a new owner. This could even be a chance for the residents to perform a citizen buyout and buy the operator, if they don't already own it. With a new owner comes new management. The new management can then take a new shot at making the city profitable again. The new management and owners will operate under the same positive and negative incentives as mentioned before. Of course, one could imagine much worse outcomes of such a situation. But in any case, the consequences likely would not be worse than if an entire country became insolvent. Even if this is just because of the much smaller scale of the problem in this case. In terms of conflicts between the host country and the operator, the first lines of defense to prevent them are reputational damage and the self-interest of the home country not to kill the hen that lays the golden eggs, that is, to hurt the private city. However, if those motives do not suffice, the procedure would work according to existing international law, that is, arbitration. This means that in setting up a free private city, the host country and the operator agree to a certain legal system, arbitration courts, and arbitrators that will apply in the case of a conflict between the two. When a conflict is arbitrated, but the losing party does not comply with the outcome of the arbitration, the winning party can seize assets of the non-compliant party in accordance with international treaties such as the New York Convention. If, for example, the host country decides to expropriate land from the private city after it has become successful, the operator could sue the host country in an international arbitration court and claim damages. If it wins, but the host country does not pay the awarded amount, the operator can enforce payment by presenting the arbitration decision to a third country where the host country holds assets and legally seize these assets. This should be enough to prevent most conflicts from happening in the first place. In fact, the same system can apply in the case of a conflict between a resident and the operator. So while free private cities can boost wealth creation in struggling countries by providing safe, efficient, and predictable investment environments, there are also mechanisms to cope with major conflicts between the stakeholders. As with any new approach, there are risks involved. But combining concepts that have worked well in other areas, the success of special economic zones around the world, or the application of international arbitration, the outlook of free private cities is quite promising and could in the long run make a true difference for millions of people. In fact, it is the country of Honduras that has for the first time allowed the company Prospera to create a so-called ZEDE, a zone of economic development and employment on the island of Roatan. Prospera has a certain degree of legal autonomy and is focused to attract investment in the healthcare, education, and tourism industries. It offers simple and transparent regulation, digitized administrative processes, and a very friendly business environment. It also offers an e-residency to foreigners to start businesses in Prospera. First buildings have been erected and the company is currently acquiring customers and investors alike. For more information, visit their website, which is linked in the description.